2024 has been an amazing year for blasters. Not only did we get a bunch of great looking blasters, great performing blasters, but we also saw a brand new dart type, the N1 dart from the Nerf N series. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to break down a list of my favorite blasters from the year. There are 12 of them in total. I'm breaking them into 4 categories: Nerf, Xshot, Dart Zone, and a special category that is just for smaller blaster brands or just one-off items that I think are just pretty cool. The other thing about these blasters that are my personal favorites are these are the ones I just had the most fun with throughout the year. They might not be the best performing blasters, but I sure had a smile on my face every time I used them, or at least most of the time. But are you ready to get into it? Let's start with Nerf. Let's start with the Nerf Agility, one of my favorite blasters of the year. The reason I like this one is because it is an evolution of sorts of one of my favorite blasters ever, the Strong Arm. I think this highlights really well the new Nerf N1 dart, and it has a bunch of features that are just nice to have. Mainly this priming handle on the back that goes along with the slide. It feels like a crock with a sport mode on it, and it's just a really nice, easy play feature, so when you are priming this thing, it makes it super easy. I feel like this is a really good entry point into the Nerf N1 dart ecosystem. It is a fairly inexpensive blaster, it has decent power behind it, and a 6-cylinder blaster is something that you can easily top load and get into a battle. Unlike something like the Ward, which is 2 darts, this ups the capacity considerably so that you have something substantial. I know some people didn't like the design or the colors of this. I'm of the opposite opinion. I really like these bright neon-y colors because it reminds me a little bit of retro Nerf. Here's a blaster from 1994, and here is the Nerf N series Agility. You can see that they're very bright, they're very colorful. But this isn't the only N series blaster on my list from Nerf. I have another one, and that is the N series Infinite. As long as you're being very considerate and careful with this blaster, you are going to have a fun time. And a lot of that has to do with not only how many darts you get in this thing, like 80 darts, it's this Beltazine. I don't know why it removes. I'm happy it does, because this design works rather well to reload things, and it's just a fun gimmick. It holds 40 darts. That's more than enough for your traditional game of Nerf in the backyard, and it comes with more than enough darts to really jump into the N1 dart ecosystem, which from all indication is what the dart from Nerf is going to be like from this point forward. And similar to the Agility, it has these bright colors, it stands out, it's rather cool. I don't know if this blaster really got its due. I know a lot of people, when they're picking out blasters, they choose the pinpoint, which I definitely like the Infinite a little more. This is the flagship blaster, and while it is the most expensive one, I still think it's reasonable for what you get inside the box. Right, here's a truly controversial pick. I know that I'm walking into something choosing the Nerf Pro Torrent as one of my favorite blasters of the year, but I like this blaster. The faults and all, but like I said, this one left a smile on my face more often than not. I love how this all retracts backwards. It moves forward, it's very space-agey, it's got the angled talon in the grip that's still rather comfortable, and it has the hidden stock point so that you can make this a very comfortable blaster. Nerf Pro was very divisive this year. Again, this is another one of these blasters that I got to try early at Hasbro headquarters, and between the two, the Sender and the Torrent still really feels good in my hands, and it is just a fun little spring-powered blaster that, again, I just have a fun time with. Now, when it comes to more traditional Nerf blasters, we have the Ace of Spades from the Nerf Limited line. This is, like, it's a great prop replica blaster. Something like this, around $50, you get it from the Bungie store. It is probably one of the last looks or the last tastes of a blaster that uses the Nerf Elite style dart. A lot of people think that this should have been spring-powered, hammer-primed. I'm inclined to agree, but I still think this is just a phenomenally done Nerf Limited blaster. They have been on a really good streak with these lately, and we've seen a lot of other collaboration blasters from like Fortnite and Minecraft and other video game properties like that. Destiny, of course, we had the Gallarhorn, but now we have the Ace of Spades. But honestly, it's just too cool not to add on my list because you feel like a Guardian holding this hand cannon here. And the last thing that I want to mention about this blaster is that it uses that printing technology directly on the product, so there is a lot of cool detail here that if you haven't seen my full review on this, definitely check it out. Now, this isn't an official pick, but I want to give a shout out to Nerf Wild this year. I got these Scorpions. They're just fun. I have nothing else to say about them, but they're fun. Now, those are all of my top picks from the Nerf brand. Let's move on to Xshot. The first one should be obvious. This is the Blaster Corn. It is one of the most fun single fire night finder-like blasters that I've used in a very long time. Just like the Ace of Spades, it uses that printing technology that really Xshot pioneered for blasters, but it does it in such a way that makes it fun, that makes it just unique. Absolutely stands out on the blaster aisle, and it has good power behind it. Is it the most practical one? No, but it is one of the most fun blasters because it's a unicorn. Now, my other pick for this year is the Doomsday from the Xshot Insanity Horror Fire line. The Insanity line also continued as well with just the normal Insanity stuff from what I could tell, but the new stuff, the Horror Fire, it has some really great design behind it. It feels like it's picking up the torch that the Nerf Zombie Strike line laid down. What I like about the Doomsday in particular is that it has a decently sized barrel, but when you pump the blaster, the foam blade on the front spins regardless of getting a dart ready or not. So this feels like an essential part of the blaster, whereas other foam discs on other blasters, even from the Insanity line, don't feel as essential as the Doomsday one. Check this out. It just has a really good feel, a good mechanic, a good click once you prime this blaster. I did think about adding the Dread Hammer as well, but I just wasn't as sold on that one because it just awkwardly configures the other blasters around it. I feel like the Insanity Ragefire probably still is another good pick for this year, but it's not official because, well, it didn't come out this year. Now let's talk about Dart Zone blasters because, well, there was a lot going on with Dart Zone. There was a ton going on with Dart Zone this year. Not only did they release a new style of dart, still an elite style, full-length dart, but different configuration with the nitro shot stuff. But they also had a bunch of other cool blasters, and the one that I want to highlight first that I'm not quite sure, I think it was the very tail end of last year, very beginning of this year, I honestly don't know. It's the Dart Zone Solo. Since I don't know the exact date that this came out, I'm just gonna highlight it. You can still get some of these, and I think you can get a pretty good deal on them. If somebody likes the Nerf Jolt, but they're ready for like the next step up in terms of performance, get a Solo for one of these things. Another pick from Dart Zone this year, by way of the Adventure Force brand, is the Nexus Pro X. This takes the very beloved Nexus Pro and it makes more of it because it is only half-length dart. We're going to make this laser focused for half-length darts, and it comes with a bunch of cool options. First of which is one of these B-cars, a bearing scar that just adds a little bit of spin to the dart to make it a little more accurate. There's also an injection molded scar barrel, and we have things like the buffer tube, an easy swap spring if you want to tune it up or down, because that is a consideration for a blaster like this. And there's just so many nice upgrades from the original Nexus Pro that it makes this a really easy recommend for somebody looking to get their very first pro performance level blaster. Here's another blaster from Dart Zone by the way of Adventure Force. Adventure Force was getting a lot of cool blasters this year. This is called the Maxim Pro. And the best thing that I can describe this blaster is, if you remember the Nerf Pro Strife X from last year, this is like the cheaper, more budgeted version of that. And if you don't want to use the 8AA batteries, you can easily drop in a LiPo because this is already wired up for higher capacity, or I guess higher performance, hobby grade level batteries. And then it's also transparent, which is also a double thumbs up in my book too. And last, but certainly not least, in fact, this is my favorite blaster of the year. I'm just telling you right now, you don't have to wait to the end. I'm telling you, this next blaster in my hand is my favorite one of the year. It is the Venom Pro by Dart Zone. This blaster for $50 does so much that it is incredible that they got so much packed into it. This is by Dart Zone, it's not through Adventure Force, and there are so many just nice, wonderful upgrades that people who are into performance level blasters absolutely love. First is that it uses the Nightingale angled magazine in grip. It makes this a very comfortable blaster to hold. It has this thumb screw in the top of the blaster to access the rechargeable battery. Yes, the rechargeable battery. This is already set to go. Just as long as you have a charge somewhere around. If this blaster is full auto, it does 7 darts a second. So not only can you just pop off 1 or 2 darts if you want, you can just absolutely unload the trigger and dump a magazine in about a second or 2. Out of any blaster in my collection that I would go to not only play with, show off, or just have fun with, it has been the Venom Pro since I got it. All right, so that was my best blaster of the year, the Venom Pro. So congratulations to Dart Zone for making an absolute winner this year. But I still have the special category, a few blasters I just wanted to highlight that I had fun with this year. First, being the Hamster. Out of Dart sent me this one. It is an ultra compact square blaster. Think of this as the performance pocket strike. Really, it's insanely powerful for how compact it is. And I feel like it's just slightly smaller than the Solo. I just have fun with this. And this is the Corsair by Lidl Dynamics. I got recommended this by Maritime Foam, all because of a 3D printer Creality sent me. This is a good one. So if you have a 3D printer and you're wondering like what your first 3D printer project should be, I definitely think you should pick up the files for the Corsair because it's just a fun print. So that's my list. I want to hear your list. Please let me know in the comment section, what are your 3 favorite blasters that you used this year? It doesn't even have to be made this year. And if you like blasters, if you like collectibles and pop culture, as well as action figures, you definitely need to hit that follow, subscribe, like, comment, share, whatever it takes. Because if 2024 was a big year, just imagine what a bigger year 2025 will be. And I want to have you along for the ride with me. So that's all I know about my favorite blasters of this year. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.